Okay, here I am. I gotta do I gotta do some other prep, but I'll be back. Adjusted volume levels. Hopefully it sounds okay. Hey, here I am. I am going to try and listen to the stream preview for a sec just to get an idea of the volume. So this is going to double up on the audio for a bit. Sorry about that. Well, probably. Maybe it won't. Let's see. Okay, can you hear me? Can I hear me? Can you hear me? Can I hear me? Can you hear me? Can Oh, yeah. Okay. Alright. Seems functional. That's fine. Good enough. I don't know how all the music gets through, but whatever. I don't really care. It's just Undertale music. Everyone's heard of it before. So, let's see here. Okay, so it is... What day is it? It is Saturday, January 10th, 2:08 p.m. local time. I have been thinking a lot about, streaming and how I feel about it, and I'm unsure still, and maybe I'll be unsure forever, who knows. With my fingers, by the way, if you can hear that popping. It's a nervous habit of mine that just became a regular habit, because I do this all the time. So, today, I wanted, well, basically, I didn't get very much sleep last night. I had a lot of trouble sleeping. I need to turn off my... Where is it? There. Okay, now I cannot hear my own voice anymore. That's nice. Turn this down a little bit as well. So, I had trouble sleeping. I was not able to sleep during the night, basically. I fell asleep at like 9 or 10 in the morning. Then I got up at 1-ish. Because, I had planned to stream at 2. And as a result of my disrupted sleep schedule lately, which has been happening like most days, unfortunately, I've been feeling pretty bad. So that's not great. I think, well, I don't know. I think I'm going to stay on the starting soon screen for this one, probably. You do still have the New Year's thing on here. But it hasn't been that long since the new year came around, so I think it's fine. Twitch says my bitrate is unstable. I think that's just because there's nothing on the screen, really. But it doesn't really matter what it looks like anyway. So, oh yeah, I guess I should introduce myself here at the start of the stream. I should make a habit of doing that. So I'm Tara, this is my channel. Sucks. So, as I said, I have been feeling not so great because of the sleep problems, and this time of year is just really bad for me. I get seasonal depression pretty awful, and there's not really a whole lot I can do about it. I mean, there are better steps that I can take to remedy it a little bit, but it's going to be, kind of bad regardless of what I do. It just could be a little bit better if I were working out and going outside and eating properly and etc. Which I have not really been keeping up with properly. So I've been feeling kind of bad, as I said. I've been feeling bad about specifically the idea of streaming, and by bad in this case, I guess I mean, like, not optimistic. I mean, this is not a new thing for me. I've been dwelling on it for a while, but, I feel like maybe I'm just not cut out for doing stuff like this, which is theoretically okay, but it would be, it's frustrating to think about, especially because I feel like I struggle with a lot of other stuff to begin with. So the fact that I was drawn to doing something like this and then you know, I'm in the position of like, am I even suited for this? Because, so I know I'm not like great at it right now, but that's not really what bothers me. It's mostly that I've been thinking about like what happens in the future and in general how easily I get overwhelmed by social stress and stress in general, I guess. And I've been worried that I won't be able to, you know, keep up with that stuff. It sounds a little sillier to say it out loud than it is in my head. In here, it's like very extremely serious, but it seems a little pessimistic when I say it out loud, I guess, which is maybe part of the benefit of saying it out loud like this and talking to nothing in particular, whatever. Okay, I should check this out. Okay, so what was I gonna say? I don't know. I had some things that I wanted to mention today, but I'm not planning on doing a long one this time. I think there were a few things that I wanted to do like between last stream and this one that I didn't end up getting around to. And in particular, troubleshooting things related to the stream visuals with, you know, game up or whatever. And I didn't get around to it, but I don't know if that would really change what I ended up doing today, because I'm very low energy to begin with. I still feel like a lot of pressure, expecting myself to do a lot of talking. And whenever I get that kind of pressure, it's like I forget how to even like talk about things. I end up thinking, you know, what is there to even possibly talk about, when in reality there are always ideas you can use to push discussion forward if you really want to. Even if the discussion ends up being really boring, that's fine. Yeah, as I said, I will not be streaming for very long today. I think probably under an hour. It really... I mean, I guess it depends a little bit. I could end up playing Silksong for a little while. Because I do think that I might get a little bit warmed up by just chatting for a while, but as I said, not feeling great, so who knows. I haven't eaten anything yet today either, which is, you know, it turns out sleeping and eating are kind of important for feeling good. Let me turn down the music a little bit here. Okay. What else do I want to touch on here? I did want to mention that with Silksong in particular, and maybe with some other games that I might end up playing, I am worried about the fact that I am, like... It's hard to describe. I have a tendency to get, you know, frustrated when I play hard games. A lot of people do, I'm sure, but for me, I feel like when I am frustrated, I end up being not very, like, entertaining, or... I don't know how to describe it. Maybe, like, polite. I just sort of become sullen, which is not great for making for an engaging stream, obviously. I know that it doesn't need to be the most engaging thing in the world, but I am concerned about it. I mean, obviously Silksong is like hard, and I haven't gotten to the hard parts yet, so that's a little worrying. And in particular, you know, there are other games out there that are also known to be difficult, and if I'm going to make a habit of playing games on stream, which I would theoretically like to do, then it's going to be a thing that keeps coming up. That actually reminds me, this is not about difficult games really, but there was some stuff that I wanted to do. I saw that, I don't know how I missed this until recently, but there's a game coming out, the third game in the Styx series. I forget what it's actually called. It's like, I don't know, I'll have to look it up on Steam to get the name. Hang on. Blades of Greed. Styx Blades of Greed is what it's called. So the first couple Styx games were stealth games that I really liked. I mean, there was a really frustrating aspect of the second game, Shards of Darkness, that basically the story was not finished. They just sort of ended it as ended it in the middle of the story as a cliffhanger, and then for a while it was very unclear whether the third game was even ever going to be made, because the second one didn't perform super great, I think, and it had kind of a more comedic tone than the original game, which was mostly serious with some tongue-in-cheek jokes, and then the second one was a lot more humorous in intention, and had a lot more pop culture references and stuff like that, which I think was not as well received. I didn't like the second one quite as much, but I still thought it was pretty good. So they ended the second game halfway through the story, basically. And then for a while, the kind of assumption was that it didn't perform well enough to justify the sequel that they were planning on doing. And this was also a very similar situation to what happened with Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which, I mean, it's not like as much of a cliffhanger, I guess, but it's still a cliffhanger ending for that game. It still, you know, doesn't finish the story that is set up, which is very frustrating. And then because these like stealth immersive sim type games are kind of a niche audience, they just don't make that much money, I think. So planning a project consisting of like a multiple game series that you commit to making is maybe not a great financial decision. But they did eventually announce that the fifth Deus Ex game is eventually going to come out also. Who knows when? I haven't actually looked up information on it recently, so I don't really remember. But, you know, that's one thing that's going to be coming out, and they announced the release date for Styx 3. I say they as if it's the same studio working on both of these things. There's no relation here, other than in my mind. So Styx 3 is coming out in February, I think around mid-February. It's the 16th, maybe? And I want to go back and replay probably just the second game. I could replay the first one as well, but I remember the story pretty well. And it's more self-contained to begin with. And also, I think it plays a little bit worse, maybe, but there's not a big difference between the two. I don't know. I really enjoy games where you end up sneaking around as a little guy. I actually played the original Styx games on, you know, the original two. I played them on the I guess highest difficulty is what you would call it, but it's basically just the mode where the game has combat mechanics in it where you can fight back if you get caught, but on the highest difficulty, the combat is just like taken out and you just instantly die if you get caught by a human enemy and they get their hands on you, which I actually really enjoyed. I thought it was cool, and I kind of wish more games would give you the option for that and also be designed around allowing that. I really enjoyed it. So I'd like to replay Styx 2 to refresh the story in my mind, and hopefully play Styx 3 when it comes out. And I was thinking I could do both of those on stream, maybe, but I don't know how I've been feeling about streaming, so that's not ideal, I guess. You know, I am like, for a long time I've been thinking, oh, I want to play Silksong on stream, I want to play Silksong on stream. This is like this kind of novel experience, and I remember my first playthrough of Hollow Knight being, you know, pretty special, and that game was extremely good, although admittedly sometimes a little frustrating. And you know, I want to see how much Silksong measures up and how good it is, and I think it would be cool to be sharing that. But I also, you know, I'm not used to talking over things. I'm not used to streaming in general, and I mean, obviously it feels kind of bad to stream to no one, you know, to have no one interested, which is like, you know, it's something that basically everyone who tries to stream, I think, ends up going through at the start. And basically, like, I guess the conventional wisdom is that the thing that separates everyone going through that from the people who develop a core audience is just like persistence and marketing. And I don't like the idea of doing marketing, so that's not great. And I'm not very persistent also. I do not have a persistent personality. Mama definitely raised a quitter. She did not try to, but she did. And for a game that's long like Silksong as well, I think, like, I mean, lately I've been doing 1 to 2 hour long stream sessions, and if I'm doing that for all of Silksong, that shit's gonna be like 40 days or something. Like, that is not really a sustainable pace, especially since I've been streaming only once or twice a week. Assuming I do keep streaming, I would like to do it more often, but I have to be conscious of my work, which is unreliable. Since I work as a substitute, I don't always know super far in advance when I'm going to be working and when I am not. And scheduling can become a little difficult with that. I've talked in the past about how I really do not like my job. So I might end up, you know, just leaving it behind eventually, but I need some kind of income in order to not feel like I don't know, I guess a piece of shit. Maybe that's unfair to say, but I do feel like I need something, and I live with my parents, and they would very much like me to be doing something. You know, for the most part, they're very, like, nice to me and encouraging, but they do really strongly believe that I need to be working, which I generally agree with. I don't know. I guess I should specify. I do struggle with disability here. I've got some overlapping mental illnesses that are not conducive to getting things done. I have pretty bad depression and anxiety and social anxiety, and maybe some other related things that are kind of overshadowed. So in practice, how that manifests for me is that I have a ton of fatigue caused by depression. My mood is often very bad, like I feel sad and desperate and angry a lot of the time, and the anxiety plays the role of making it very difficult to do things, and in particular, to do things that might alleviate the other symptoms, which is very frustrating. And in particular, I have a lot of social anxiety because, well, I don't actually know why. I wasn't like raised weird or anything like that. I don't think I have particular trauma causing it. It's just kind of the way I am currently, and it's the way I've been since, I guess since I was a kid, but not a young kid. It did take some time to show up. I was just a little bit shy before a certain age when I was like 11, 12, 13. I fucking lost my train of thought. Oh my god. I'm looking at the dancing mushroom on the screen. I'm probably just going to stay on the starting soon screen since I don't really have any other screens prepped, and I am probably not going to be playing any games today, although, you know, we'll see. I know it feels weird to have the screen say starting soon for the whole stream, but you know, that's the way it is. It's going to be a little bit of a scuffed experience, and that's okay. So, what was I talking about? I was talking about the anxiety. Yeah. So, very bad social anxiety. This is actually one of the big reasons that I was drawn to streaming, because I feel like, well, I am hopeful that it would help me build up improved tolerance to socializing within like a pseudo-controlled environment, because you know, I don't get the opportunity to talk a lot, and even when I do get the opportunity, I prefer not to take it because of the anxiety that I get. So I think that in theory, being social by talking on stream, it's sort of like not really microdosing socializing, it's more like macrodosing it and skipping the microdose, which is kind of on brand for me. I often try to make changes that are too big when I eventually get around to changing things. It's reminiscent of the time that I went out to college for a month, because I was like, I can handle going to college, surely. You know, I'm an adult. I've been out of high school for a long time. What am I listening to? Stronger Monsters. I don't remember this track. And I was in college for about a month, maybe like slightly over a month, and I dropped out for various reasons. Mainly because of the stress that I was feeling, basically. I think, well, I was having trouble keeping up with the work, but not like severely. I think it's just, you know, college work is hard. It's supposed to be hard. And the place I went to was actually really nice. I liked a lot of aspects of it, but for some reason, they put me, the way I am, in the party dorm, which is crazy. I actually, when I was applying, I was writing in about, like, you know, the housing options, and I was like, please give me a room by myself. I really would appreciate it. And, you know, some people get solo rooms, but I guess they did not seriously consider that. So they gave me a room with someone else. And also they placed me in the loudest dorm, which is frustrating for someone like me. I think if I had been able to stick around, I could have transferred to a different dorm in a different room, because, I don't know, they were pretty easygoing in general, and you know, once you're there, they kind of, like, they want to keep you more than if you're just someone who's applying. But I didn't end up sticking around for long enough, and maybe that was like part of the cause of stress, but I feel like it would not have been easy regardless. I don't know if you could hear the metal whack there. I'm just like fiddling with my tablet pen. Oh yeah, I should talk about the drawing tablet too. I have like theoretical visions of being a digital artist, and for a long time I've been interested in art and illustration specifically, but I just don't practice because of my problems, and you know, that's a big hurdle. You can't get good at something like illustration without actually doing it a lot. And you know, sometimes I have the idea of like, oh, what if I did some stuff like this on stream? But I'm very like self-conscious about the quality of my work, not just because it's, well, it's not very good, to be honest. You know, it's very unpolished, and I have like some art education, but it's not very much. So I'm mostly just kind of winging it, and I'm very self-conscious about showing my stuff on stream, also because I'm like, I have such poor self-image, which really does not help. And I don't know, it crosses my mind that like, oh, I could be drawing on stream, but I would want to practice and improve, and then like at that point it's like, if I could be practicing and improving at stuff, you know, would I really have these problems to begin with? I don't know, but I have been working on improving my my schedule. You know, I take medications and stuff like that, so it's not like there's never any progress being made. But I'm very hesitant to show myself, you know, trying to draw or anything like that on stream, just because of how self-conscious I would be, and you know, combine that with the kind of poor quality of work. What else was I going to touch on here? I'm not used to having the Undertale music in the background, but I like it. I actually really love Undertale. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and one of my favorite soundtracks in particular. Deltarune is one of the games that I would like to get around to streaming eventually. I've only played chapter 1 of that in the past, and it's been long enough that I would like to replay it. I don't know. I feel like it's funny. I feel like I was in a very bad mood until stream started, and now I feel like what's coming across is like some good, some bad, when really I felt pretty negative about things, and I kind of still do. It's I don't know. It's hard for me to reach a decision about this. Part of what drove me to streaming is, well, drove me to trying streaming is the artistic aspect of like VTubing and the self-expression involved with that, and that's something that I would be like, I'm probably pretty like far away from even trying, to be honest. Even if I become a more frequent streamer, it would probably be quite some time before I ended up doing that, and that's like part of the draw, so it's hard to use that as motivation. I just found a sesame seed on my desk and cracked it open, and now I smell sesame on my fingers, and it's very... a good whiff of the clean air here, the sesame air. Part of the reason that I'm so tired and, you know, unwilling to do things right now is that on Thursday, 2 days ago, I had to drive into Boston from where I live, which is kind of far. I live in Massachusetts,
in the US, of course, and I hate Boston. There are, periodically reasons to drive into Boston, especially medical stuff, because Boston in particular is very well equipped medically. It has it's known for having good hospitals, basically good healthcare quality, but I really do not like going in there. And currently the situation with transport is that my fairly getting up there in age uncle is kind of in need of my transport to get in and out of the city for occasional medical things, and that was the case on Thursday, and I drove in and it was horrible and I couldn't find parking, and that was, I think, the first time when I felt like I genuinely could not find anywhere to park near the hospital where I wanted to be. So I literally just drove off for 20 minutes and just found a church parking lot where I could just sit for an hour or so and wait for things. Because thankfully, I do not have to be the one that that takes care of him during the appointment and stuff, because I was able to go with my mother, his sister. Thankfully, she's, been taking care of a lot of stuff, but she's not a great driver because her, well, A, she's also getting old, but B, her vision is not great. She's lost vision in one eye. So, I gotta be the driver of the group. And something like driving into Boston, just it makes me feel miserable, man. It takes so much out of me. In the moment, I was just so frustrated. I feel honestly, the only times that I am genuinely concerningly suicidal are when I'm recovering from the aftermath of a long drive like that was very unpleasant and busy. Because of the fatigue that I get, the longer something goes, it gets dramatically less pleasant as it goes along. I can handle driving for an hour, hour and a half, but once it goes beyond that, it's it's just miserable. And with how far away we are from the city of Boston, it's it usually, depending on traffic, which varies a lot depending on time of day, it usually takes around an hour to get in there, and then on the way back we have to deal with worse traffic, so it takes an hour and a half. And that's without all of the annoying shit in the middle with dealing with Boston drivers and also the city layout, which is just awful. You'd think that because Boston is a city built for cars and not people, that it would be easy to navigate with a car. That is very much not the case. It is really a city built for no one at this point. It's just... Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I am not happy about driving in there. Thankfully, I don't do it that often, but honestly, it takes me out of commission for a few days afterward, and I was hoping that I'd be recovered by now, 2 p.m. today, a couple days afterward, but I really am not recovered yet. I'm still very tired out from it. I don't know. My tendency to get exhausted by stuff is part of the reason that I'm not confident about my ability to stream frequently and to be, to get good at things. I get that there are a lot of people that only stream for an hour or two at a time, and that's not, that's a doable amount for me, I think, as long as it's not every day. But I also feel like if I'm doing that frequently, that I can't necessarily keep up with anything else, really. I have this issue with days that I go into work where even though I only work for 1 to 3 hours at a time, you know, per day that I get called in, I end up being just completely exhausted afterward for days at a time even, and it really sucks. It makes things hard to do. It makes aspects of my life hard. I get that I'm just like complaining right now. I basically, well, I was actually very close to canceling today's stream at like all the way up until like 1:30, when I decided that I may as well just go through with it and do a nothing stream, which is what this is. What was I? Oh my god, I lost my train of thought again. So I get really tired, etc. You know, woe is me, whatever. I have a lot of trouble doing things. The fatigue causes a lot of problems in my life. I'm ongoing, you know, treatment about it. But it's sort of like, because it's probably just caused by depression, there's probably no super good way to treat it even. And even if it were a condition like myalgic encephalomyelitis, I think that's the scientific name for chronic fatigue syndrome. Even if it were something like that, the treatment for conditions like that is symptomatic anyway, so it doesn't, like, there's no cure to fatigue when it's caused by, like, mental problems instead of things that you're actually doing. And for me, I feel like it is in fact caused by mental problems, unfortunately. I mean, you know, there are probably ways to mitigate it, but I don't feel like I can do a lot of things. And even though I am definitely interested in streaming, and I even have some days where I'm like hopeful, and it's very fitting to be talking about hope with this song in the background. This is not Hopes and Dreams, but it is the song titled Undertale. Very poignant for me. For me personally, you know. As if no one else has played the game. You know, some days I do feel really hopeful and like I could enjoy something like this a lot. And other days I feel dreadful. And yesterday was a dreadful day, unfortunately. And I think today is more of a medium. I think earlier in the week, maybe Monday, I think, when was my last stream? I think it was on Sunday. For a while after my last stream, I was like, oh, I'm bad at this, whatever. But I actually ended up kind of rebounding a little bit and thinking, you know, this could end up going pretty well. And there are things about it that I enjoy. But again, still uncertain about it. I just have no confidence in my own ability to do anything to a high degree of satisfaction, which is not great. You know, that's not a great way to live. And in particular, not being able to muster confidence makes it hard to work through things like depression as well. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? I feel like there probably was. I think I might be coming to the end of what I wanted to discuss. I say discuss as if I'm having a discussion with someone, of course. It's just me here. It's basically the Teeter Tara podcast hour. I feel like it's probably very easy to get discouraged with streaming in general, even if you don't have my particular
struggles, just because it's like kind of inherently discouraging, honestly. I think streaming without an audience is just not satisfying, and in a way it might be better even to be doing like podcasts or videos or something that's like an asynchronous format that's not broadcast live, because you wouldn't be getting the live feedback in real time while making the thing. But you know, when it works, obviously streaming is cool. But when there's no one around to respond, and you know, it's not like I expect people to just show up just to have someone around. Because what I'd be interested in is developing an audience who actually likes me. I'm well, part of the issue of having like such low self-confidence and self-image is that I feel like I am not very liked in general. Like, not currently even, but throughout my life, I feel like I have just never really had. I've never really cultivated a group of people who liked me very much. Part of it is that I'm too nice also. I think I talk about this fairly frequently, but I do feel like I'm too nice, and I have like some kind of reflexive, compulsive, nice behavior instinct that I really struggle to suppress a lot of the time. It's like when you're at the doctor and they like tap your knee with the reflex hammer and it makes your leg kick out, except for me, it's like being polite and sort of like avoiding confrontation, I guess, which is not always a good thing. You know, the longer I live like this, the more confidently I can say that avoiding confrontation always is not a good idea, and it's not a good way to live. One thing that has been worrying me about streaming also is that whether I'm actually interested in watching the streams is a thing that fluctuates as well. And in general, I'm not really even that much of a watcher. There are some streamers that I watch occasionally, and that's it. You know, occasionally, well, for certain periods of time, I will develop a habit of like watching a stream consistently, and then I will fall off of it because, you know, I get tired or I get really, really anxious, and streams do trigger my social anxiety. Not quite as bad as in-person interaction, but it's definitely there. And it makes it very tiring and stressful to do something that is supposed to be fun and satisfying and social and, you know, low-key. I mean, when you go to watch a stream, you don't expect to be like called up onto the stage like in a stage magician's performance or something like that. You know, it's just like at most you're in the crowd and you haven't even left home. So it's sort of like a uniquely low pressure social experience. And that still often feels like something that's very overwhelming for me. And that does not bode very well for my own ability to stream on a regular basis, does it? But I don't know. There's things that really appeal to me about streaming, and ultimately I think part of the major appeal of streaming for me is that it might like improve my mental health a little bit, which is like a huge draw because I'm so sucks, basically. And, you know, it's very hard to deal with a condition like social anxiety because I'm gonna skip your best nightmare. I can go to finale here. a little too much of a spooky song for right now. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, it's hard to treat something like social anxiety because the treatments for it also trigger the condition. So it's sort of like, I mean, you can obviously do something like immersion therapy where you just like go out and socialize even if you feel really uncomfortable. And, you know, the way that triggers social anxiety is obvious, but even for something like talk therapy, even that for me is enough to be really hampered by my anxiety, and it sucks. Anxiety and depression, in my case, are both conditions that make themselves harder to treat. Depression, of course, makes it hard to conjure up the drive and interest to do anything, including pursuing treatment for depression, and it encourages like pessimistic thought patterns, which are not helpful, to put it mildly. And, you know, when you have conditions that are self-defeating like that, theoretical opportunities for treatment that you're actually, like, personally interested in can be very appealing. And this is, you know, with streaming, the possibility of it being, like, similar to immersion therapy, but, you know, in a lot more controlled environment, and in particular in an environment that is, like, explicitly built around, what is this one? Oh, these are the other scary songs from the True Lab. I'm skipping these. All right. It's funny to say it's scary, because Undertale is not a scary game, but I do remember being a little unsettled by going through the True Lab section for the first time in the pacifist route. I mean, I scare very easily, that's a known thing about me, but it's also just like, it's very creepy atmosphere, and that really gets me more than anything else that is considered scary. It just sets me on edge. So what was I talking about? Yeah. So, with a stream, it's sort of like you build it around the streamer, right? So you cultivate this environment where it's built around what the streamer is interested in, usually. And I guess sometimes it's built around what, you know, generates clicks or whatever, but I'm not planning on doing that. I'm not interested in that. So you can create this environment where it's like, since it's built around this particular person's preferences, it becomes a lot more, I guess, more of a natural fit to be like, this does work for me, this doesn't work for me, and then to build the stream schedule and stuff like that around the streamer's preferences. It sounds kind of silly referring to myself in third person as the streamer over and over, but that is how I think about it. And I think in particular there are a lot of times where I'm like, it just feels like a lot of social situations and responsibilities that I have are way bigger than just me, and as a result I feel very guilty about performing poorly by my metric, which is usually like, you know, kind of performing adequately in a lot of cases, unfortunately, because I'm very harsh on myself. And also, like, if I miss things, if I end up having to call things off, I feel very guilty about it. And not just like calling something off, but also like making up for it later is something that I also get uncomfortable because of. You know, I receive discomfort from it. I don't know. I think I'm starting to get a little too tired out by the talking here, because I have been going for almost an hour. I wanted to keep this around an hour, but I also wanted to like actually get to around an hour if I could. So I think in that regard, I would say this stream has been actually successful by my metric. Maybe not ideal, but successful enough. And oh, hi Larks. Hi, I was just talking about how I'm almost done. I have just been talking today though. Hey, no problem. Yep, I'm glad you popped in to say hi. It does feel a lot better to have, you know, a theoretical audience to be talking to, even I guess, like, well, yeah, streaming to nobody is not as good as streaming to someone, obviously. That's just how the the thing works. Sort of like, you know, if you're a teacher, you want to be teaching someone rather than just teaching to an empty classroom. I don't know if there was much else that I wanted to focus on here. I hope that the audio today has been okay. I made some adjustments to the audio levels. The overall volume should be higher. The music volume should be a little higher. I think I really need to do some tweaking to the way that I have audio set up in OBS, because right now I'm like, so I have an Elgato Wave 3 microphone, and I've been like using the built-in software that comes with that to, you know, do volume mixing basically, and like you know, take advantage of the features that are available here. But I think there's been a downside with it, kind of, because when I run like noise compression and noise gate filters on the microphone, because of the way it's set up in OBS currently, I also end up running those filters on all of the other audio, which I don't know if it's caused any problems for the way things sound, but you know, it's worrying a little bit, and I'm surprised I didn't think about it sooner. So eventually I would like to go through the whole rigmarole of like adding individual audio sources, but the microphone, the Wave 3, actually kind of makes it a little bit unintuitive to do that, because it really wants to take over your audio setup and do things its own way. And I think it's also like, I mean, I haven't looked into this, but from what little I've tried, it does seem like trying to abandon the software and just using the microphone hardware and, you know, driver without using the software is not something that the software is designed to support, which is very annoying. I wish there was just like a way to turn it off. I get that it's like a big part of the appeal, but I don't know. Anyway, that's something that I want to try looking into. I think, I mean, there's probably other people who have talked about it online. This is a fairly popular microphone, and you know, splitting up audio sources through OBS is something that I want to get done at some point. And it's probably possible. I'd assume it's possible, and I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. Which one is this? Reunited. Is this from the, I forget. I assume this is from one of the endings of Undertale. Anyway, if the music ever, like, fucks up and doesn't come through or sounds weird, it's because whatever filters I have on my voice and my microphone are also applying to all the other audio that comes through my stream. And I can't hear it that way, importantly. For me, it sounds the way that it's supposed to without the filters. And I also don't hear my microphone audio. Yeah, my throat is starting to get noticeably sore now, so I am gonna start wrapping up here. But I want to talk about when I'm going to be streaming again, which is, the short answer for that is that I don't have another date picked. I'm looking at my calendar here. So I'm like slightly busy next week. I work on Friday, which means that I'm gonna feel like shit on Saturday. I don't know, man. You don't... Come on, you don't have to... I don't expect you or anyone to show up just, like, out of obligation, you know? That's not really what I'm looking for to begin with. I mean, if you're interested in showing up, then sure, but if you are busy or not interested in showing up, then I feel like you shouldn't show up. Because, you know, it's just like, there's no need to endure something like this, because it's just, the main purpose I'm streaming for is, like, for personal enjoyment of myself and everyone involved, right? I mean, there are other reasons, but that's the biggest one, and in my opinion, doing something out of obligation kind of goes against that, and that's part of why I don't watch that many streams myself, because I'm like, if I feel like I'm doing it out of obligation, then I'm just gonna leave, because I just don't want to feel that way. And it's possible, in my opinion, that that might be increasing my enjoyment when I do watch streams, but I don't know. Anyway, for next time, I will be streaming. I am planning on streaming again, just to be clear. I was uncertain about it leading up to stream because I was just like tired and whatever, but I'm gonna stick at it for a while, but I might take a week or two between streams this time, because I've got things that I want to set up for, you know, the audio, and I want to make sure everything works properly, and then I've just been so tired, and I got stuff to do, and I don't know. I feel like when I don't plan to do stuff, my days are just crazy empty, but I also, at the same time, feel that I can't always handle doing stuff. So it's sort of a tough balance to strike, for me at least. And I know for me that balance is going to, you know, shift towards the lower end of what I end up doing compared to the average person, but I think the general idea probably applies for most people. So when I do decide when I will be streaming next, I will be announcing it on Twitter, on x.com/TeeterTaraVT, and I think it's VT on Twitter, and also on Blue Sky at I don't know how Blue Sky URL formats work. It's Teeter Tara on Blue Sky. I'm just in there. There's no special suffix or anything. Yeah, teetertara.bsky.social, also known as bsky.app/profile/teetertara.bsky.social. Anyway, I've got the links in my stream description. Stream description now. I almost said Steam. I added a description to my Twitch bio, along with a few links. And one of those links is to the VOD upload channel that I have been using for archival purposes, and I will plan to be uploading this VOD as recorded from my desktop there. So, Twitter, TeeterTaraVT, Blue Sky TeeterTara, YouTube, TeeterTara also, I believe. And
I will share information when I've decided when I want to stream next. And anyone who watched or, you know, even just popped in and watched a few seconds, thanks. I appreciate it. You know, I feel like it's magnanimous of people to try out, like, watching small streams like this. Especially like the VODs. Something that I do occasionally is just like, you know, periodically YouTube will recommend me VODs with low view counts, or sometimes even live streams, but usually it's VODs. And, you know, sometimes I'll poke my head in and just see, and, you know, maybe it's not something I enjoy, but I think it's still kind of fun to try it out and see what kinds of people there are out in the world, if you don't mind me getting a little unnecessarily poetic here. Oh shit, we got the Undyne music. I guess this isn't the Undyne music, this is it's something that uses the same leitmotif as the Spear of Justice song. But anyway, so I believe I have talked about everything that I wanted to get to. Next time I will probably be doing something and not just talking the whole time, although, you know, this is an opportunity for me to talk as well, because I don't do it very much in my daily life, and that is also something that I need to build up a tolerance for, so maybe I'll be talking, maybe I'll be playing Hollow Knight Silksong, maybe I will be playing Styx Shards of Darkness, like I mentioned earlier, replaying it, I don't know. I feel like I would rather play something that I can easily talk over, but I think I am also a little bit too concerned about having the stream be entertaining when... I mean, obviously it's, like, good to have an entertaining stream, you know, that's something that I would like to strive for, but I think that I worry about it too much. And in particular with streaming video games, it's sort of like, I think there's an expectation that you don't talk as much when you've got, you know, something going on the screen and when you're personally focused on what you're doing. So maybe I should just take a chill pill about that a little bit and try to get more comfortable with streaming Silksong and stuff like that, and not be so worried about, like, getting frustrated by difficulty and, you know, the common things that apply to everybody. As soon as I see, like, one crumb on my keyboard and start cleaning it, it's like, oh my god, there's so many crumbs and hairs here and there. It's gross. All right. So it is 3:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm wrapping up here. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you did, if you didn't, I don't care. It's fine. And I say I don't care as if, you know, I'm not trying to be derogatory. It just doesn't bother me at all. If people aren't interested in watching, that's fine. Bye-bye. And you know, I like the opportunity to just talk a little bit about what's going on in my head sometimes. I'm appreciating that since I've started streaming. So thank you for that opportunity. If you went through and listened, there was nothing to watch this time other than the dancing mushroom, but that's okay. I still don't really properly know how to end a stream. It feels so awkward. This music is, like, perfect for this, though. Last goodbye. Okay, I'm all done. Thank you. I will be back. Oh, I can put on the, I guess I don't have, like, a goodbye screen yet, but BRB is something. It's better than nothing. Okay. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. I have somehow enjoyed streaming, even though I was in kind of a shitty mood to start with. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. Bye!